Welcome to today's video on the chapter Mechanical Properties of Solids from HS First Year, Part 2. In Part 1, we discussed simple ways to approach stress, strain, modulus of elasticity, and variation of density with pressure. In this video, we will discuss some other important topics from this chapter, and let's start with Hooke's law. According to the Hooke's law, the stress developed in a body is directly proportional to the strain produced within elastic limit. Elastic limit is that point till which the body can regain its original shape after the deforming force is removed. So in mathematical terms, we have stress directly proportional to strain, introducing the constant E which will be equal to stress by strain. That means the modulus of elasticity. Now let's move on to compressibility. By the very term, we get an idea that as compressibility is related to the change in volume, so Buck modulus will be involved. Compressibility of a material is actually the reciprocal of Buck modulus of elasticity, that is B. Therefore, if we represent compressibility by K, then K is equal to 1 by B. Some important conclusions that we can make are that as the compressibility increases from solids to gases, so the Buck modulus will decrease from solid to gas. For rigid bodies, as the compressibility is 0, so Buck modulus for rigid bodies is equal to infinity. Not only Buck modulus but Young's modulus too, which is related to change in length. Let's now move on and see the stress-strain graph. Some important elements of this graph are represented by the point A, which is proportional limit, B, which is elastic limit, plastic behavior, elastic behavior, and the fracture point E. For the portion OA in the graph, stress increases proportionally with strain, which means the object obeys Hooke's law. This kind of behavior of a material is called elastic behavior, for which, even though the object gets deformed on the application of a deforming force, but when that force is removed, it regains its original configuration as shown in this figure. A solid may show this kind of behavior up to the point B, but after the point C, it shows plastic behavior. That is why the point B is called the elastic limit. After this point, even if we remove the deforming force, the object will not regain its original shape, and thus the object is said to be exhibiting plastic behavior. This stress-strain graph especially shows the behavior of ductile materials, and the plastic range from C to D is a characteristic of all ductile materials. Here, strain increases abruptly with a small increase in stress, which means application of a small amount of pressure causes large deformations. Point D is the ultimate strength point, that means we can apply pressure up to that point, after which the point E, which is fracture point, comes. This is the point at which the fracture of the solid takes place. That was all about the important elements in this stress-strain graph for ductile materials. But for a brittle material, the stress-strain graph looks like this. It has a very little or no plastic range, but the object tends to gain the fracture point immediately after crossing elastic behavior. We can compare these two graphs using this figure. And we see another important point, that the area under this curve is the absorbed energy by the material, which is more for a ductile material than for a brittle material. Having done with the stress-strain graph, let's now move to the elastic potential energy. The two important formula from this portion are the elastic potential energy stored in a stretched wire, which is equal to half into force into elongation. This is easy to remember because we already know that force into distance has the dimensions of energy. The same elastic potential energy which is stored per unit volume is half into stress into strain. So both these formula are quite easy to remember, but the only term that we need to keep in mind is 1 by 2. Our next topic is factor of safety. This is basically used for building purposes of machines, bridges, etc. And its formula is breaking stress by working stress. In order not to get confused with stress and strain, we should remember that factor of safety always refers to the pressure that we can apply to a material, so it is stress, that is pressure, but not strain. The next confusion that might arise is that whether it is breaking by working or working by breaking. For this, we can simply apply the alphabetical order method. Or else, in a more logical sense, we can apply another trick to keep this formula in mind. Now, factor of safety is a plus point for any construction, so it should always be higher. Moreover, we should also note that the breaking stress will of course be greater than working stress because we can't work beyond the breaking stress. Keeping these two facts in mind and combining them, we get the formula to be breaking stress by working stress because breaking stress will always be greater than working stress and thus the factor of safety will be greater than 1. This ends our chapter here. Please don't miss part 1 on this chapter, Mechanical Properties of Solid, and I've provided the link in description below. So that was all for today's topic. If the video was beneficial, please leave a like and don't forget to subscribe my channel to get more such videos on simple explanations of the topics included in HS syllabus. I will be back with another video. Thanks for watching.